All right, this is Brad French. This is week 13. I chose the CISM project, which is chapter 15 of the book. I read Steve Kahn's master's thesis. Steve Kahn from Colerain Township. He wrote a master's thesis entitled An Evaluation of CISM. It detailed the Colerain Township experience as far as it related to critical incident stress at the Squirrel's Nest Lane fire, where Captain Robin Brockstrom and Brian Shira died as a result of a catastrophic collapse into a basement. I've studied this incident at length through the NIOSH report and through the internal Colerain Township report, but had never really viewed it through this perspective, through the eyes of the critical incident stress process and how that all worked. I did, in fact, attend the funeral, and maybe some of the others of you that are watching this video attended the funeral as well. One of the interesting things that I found out of this was the help that they got from the Cincinnati Fire Department. Tom Laycamp, who is obviously well known to many and is an adjunct faculty there in our UC program, provided assistance based on his experience with conducting the investigation and planning the funeral and so on with Oscar Armstrong, the Laidlaw Avenue fire flashover fatality in 2003. And really provided a lot of interesting guidance and good tips and best practices and things for the aftermath of the Squirrel's Nest Lane fire in Colerain for them. Interesting operations at the scene. The Southwest Ohio Critical Incident Stress Management Team was activated and was in place down there. They also provided all of the responders on scene with cell phones to call home to their family members to let them know that they were okay. They held an impromptu prayer service on the scene. And they also had mutual aid companies that were focused more on the fire operations, while the Colerain members were able to focus a little bit more on providing the proper respect with removing the bodies and saluting and things like that. His paper also talked about the importance of walkthroughs of the scene after the fact, and how they did that over the course of 5 to 6 days following the incident on Squirrel's Nest Lane. I've also heard about the importance of this from Chief Laycamp in classes that he has done about the Oscar Armstrong fatality, and also the Mark Langvard incident in Denver, the Denver drill many of you are familiar with. If firefighters or other members of the fire department aren't able to see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears and put their hands on these things and touch what happens at these firefighter fatality incidents, it makes it very difficult to keep the rumor mill down and keep speculation down. And when site visits occur, and I've heard this time and time again, and now yet again here with the Colerain Squirrel's Nest fire, that going to the scene, allowing all members of the fire department to actually physically go on the scene, is very therapeutic and stressful, and allows them to wrap their mind around the situation a little bit more. And that occurred in this incident here as well. There were multiple CISD sessions conducted in the weeks following the Squirrel's Nest Lane fire. Interestingly, one even including family members, children, and friends related to Brian and Robin. CISM, however, is not without controversy. Brian Bledsoe, a well-known EMS author of a lot of EMS textbooks, says that the Mitchell model is kind of the heart of the CISD process. The Mitchell model is named after Jeffrey Mitchell, who's a former firefighter paramedic. He conducted the first CISD session actually as a result of the Air Florida crash in Washington, D.C. in 1982, which I thought was interesting. Air Florida flight was not properly de-iced, went down in the Potomac River, and had a lot of traumatized responders as a result. This Dr. Mitchell had developed this process and implemented it with the Air Florida. And it was really well received, and for many, many years, in fact for a few decades, was thought as the model to go with for debriefing folks and dealing with stress-related incidents. However, in recent years, it's come under fire. Like I said, Dr. Bledsoe, a well-known EMS author, says that the Mitchell model can actually make the traumatic events worse than they were before in that particular responder's mind, and that CISD sessions fail to prevent post-traumatic stress disorder, which is obviously a big problem both in the military and in other high-stress professions like ours. Bledsoe supports peer-to-peer psychological first aid, and without any formal debriefing sessions, that if there's anything formal to be going on, that it actually be conducted on a personal level with mental health professionals. And otherwise, before that, just peer-to-peer counseling and psychological first aid is the term that he uses for that. Basically just people talking to each other, using our interpersonal skills to help each other through these types of things. In the Dayton Fire Department, we have a couple of SOPs related to CISM. One is on the required training and involvement of the team. We do have some members of our department that are involved in the Southwest Ohio CISM team, and the SOP relates to supporting members' commitment to the team by releasing them from duty and things like that, and defines some of the training components in the CISM program. Another SOP that we have relates to specific CISM procedures, has definitions for CISD, which in our SOP is defined as a session that occurs 24 to 96 hours after the incident, lasting approximately 3 hours, and a diffusing, which is a less formal session that occurs 3 to 4 hours after the incident and lasts less than an hour. The benefits listed in our SOP are to reduce stress, prevent delayed psychological reactions, and reduce feelings of isolation. Now again, this SOP is a little bit dated, back in 2001, so whether or not all of that still holds true, I guess depends upon your personal philosophy for CISM, whether it works or not, and kind of where you find yourself in this whole CISM spectrum. But that is our official SOP on that. I was involved in an incident in which a captain on our job was struck on the interstate last winter, and was thrown long distance and sustained some pretty serious injuries. They offered CISD sessions to all of us. I personally declined. Again, I still don't know exactly where I stand on these formal CISD sessions, but in this particular case I declined going. However, some of my friends that did attend and were on the incident as well said that they were helpful. One last thing I'll leave you with. Keep in mind that that it's important to not forget the small incidents. I was involved in a child fatality. A little girl drowned in a backyard pond, and it was the fifth house on the right on Wayne Avenue past the Kroger's. And I say that because I want to illustrate the fact of how fresh that always stays in my mind. And that wasn't a big plane crash or a multi-fatality fire or anything like that. That was just a standard run-of-the-mill medic run with an engine and a medic. So don't forget the stress involved in the small runs as well. It can be just as big of an issue for us. So thanks a lot for listening. Ran a little long here, so I'll keep an eye out for everybody else's videos. Thanks.